Hi, I'm Anthony.
And I'm Nicole.
And this is
Life with
Twins. One of the things that we wanted to talk about is adoption and fostering. We got to a point where we started to recognize that this in vitro stuff, it may not work financially. It's a very, very large sacrifice. And there are other options that we wanted to seek out, specifically fostering. I feel like you have always really had it in your heart to be a mom, not just to have a child. And that's one thing that we really did seek out and try and get some more information on. What month was it that we had gone?
So I think we went sometime in January or February. It was between our third IUI and before we went.
2018. 2019?
2019.
2019, sorry.
It was somewhere between our third IUI and before we went to go for our fourth IUI at the different doctor's office. And I think because we had gone through 3 IUIs, I was hopeful that either the new protocol at the new doctor's office would work. I also was reserved because we had gone through 3 IUIs and they didn't work. And I wasn't quite ready to do IVF yet. I just, like I explained before, I was having a hard time settling with some of the ethical decisions that I didn't know if I wanted to face. And so we decided to go to an adoption meeting where they talked about different options for adoption. In that meeting, they discussed the, I think it's like domestic adoption. So adopting from a birth mom in the United States. So you find an agency and they pair you with, or, they show your information and profile to a mom who wants to give their baby up for adoption. And then you kind of follow them through your pregnancy. You may or may not be there for delivery. But what kind of deterred me from that was that you have it's like $30,000 to $40,000. But you also have the ability to follow that mom throughout their entire pregnancy, watch them grow, see the ultrasounds, have a baby shower, set up your nursery, have a name picked out, possibly be at the delivery or in the waiting room, see this baby, hold this baby, and that mom has 72 hours to change her mind after delivery. And they said that 30% of moms change their mind. So not only do you go through setting everything up, getting everything ready, and paying all this money, then they decide that they want to keep the baby, and you're out that money. Yeah. Your heart is broken because you've prepared for this baby and, you don't get to take it home.
It's the mother's right to keep it. So there's nothing you can do,
Absolutely.
Legally it's theirs.
But I just knew that my heart could not take that. Even though 30% is such a small number, to me it did still seem so high. And I just I could not take that chance because it was the struggle of trying to get pregnant is already so emotional. And then let alone to finally have a baby that you get to see and hold, and you're like, I can't wait to take you home. And then for that mom to change her mind, I just knew I couldn't handle that. And then the next option was adopting from foster care. And I was not opposed to doing that. However, most of the time, the kids that you get from foster care for adoption, they end up being older because the goal is to have that child go back to the family or go with somebody within the family, whether it be a grandparent. So by the time that they realize that kid may not have an option for going back with a family, or the mom has tried and it's just not working out, then they might be a little bit older. And I just didn't feel like we were at a point where we would be able to jump into having a 4 or 5 or 8-year-old
I felt like there was just such a learning curve for us that we needed to essentially have maybe our own baby and go through that. So we knew kind of what to expect with a 5-year-old, you know, because there's a lot of development mentally that comes at those early years. And it's so important to, you know, work with a child at that age. So, you know, we felt like we were not prepared to take on an older child. Now that's not the case for the future. If we maybe are.
Yeah. We just felt like we needed to go through life with, you know, a baby and kind of growing up in that sense, instead of taking on a 5-year-old. But later on, after, you know, maybe we've had our own kids and they've gone through that stage, then we'd be more able to take that on.
Right.
So we didn't feel like that was a good option for us. We did look into just fostering versus fostering to adopt.
There's so many kids that need foster parents too.
Yeah.
And I mean, even to this day, I still like am looking on the fostering website and just like really like my heart goes out to them because I want to be in that position.
Very sad.
Yeah, I mean, I want to be in that position.
And we want to be
help.
able to help them. We looked into fostering, and you know, I've heard several people who have, you know, gotten babies and just like how emotional it is for them to have to give that baby back. And so again, I didn't feel like our heart was at the right place.
We just weren't mentally ready for
to
that.
be able to take on a baby, and then having to give that baby back to like a family who doesn't have a bed for it, or who has domestic violence or drugs or, you know, something. I just didn't feel like my heart could take that. So we decided that that wasn't best for us either. And then the last option was adopting from a different country.
International. Yeah.
And that really struck me. Like in that meeting, that really touched me the most, and I felt really drawn to that. And that was something that I actually really wanted to do and would still like to do. It is such a long process because you're going with a different country's legal system as well. So you may find a newborn baby out in, I think it was Haiti. You may find a newborn baby in Haiti, but by the time you're done with all the legal proceedings and everything, they might be 2 by the time that they come.
And a lot of
home.
times, didn't they say that you had to fly over there and then they had meetings where like they fly back, making sure it's a really good fit for them.
It is they do a lot to help transition.
Yeah. Which is great.
Yes. And we were totally fine with that. We were fine with going through the process for a couple of years. Again, it is a very costly.
That one was like $50,000, right?
Because you have the fees for the other country, and then you also have travel fees. So you have to travel out there a couple of times. And however, we didn't meet requirements.
That's it, yeah.
Because in order to adopt internationally at the time, one had to be 30 years old, and we weren't 30 yet. I don't even think you were 29 yet.
Right.
So that wasn't going to work for us.
Well, I mean, there was a bunch of stipulations.
And then we had to be married. So one had to be 30, and then on top of that, we had to be married for 5 years. And we weren't married. I mean, we're still not married for 5 years. So we still don't meet requirements. And then we were looking at other countries that may not have the same requirements. A lot of them do have those requirements though, but ones that don't, they want you to live there for a year. Like Uganda, you have to live there for a year in order to adopt. So
that's the information we were given at this seminar. And one of the other things about the international option that really resonated with you was that a lot of those kids, they were coming from families that were literally so poor. They said, you're not going to have to worry about these babies having issues with drugs, is what they told us. They said the families are so poor there, they can't afford the drugs. They're not hooked on crack and stuff like that. They literally couldn't afford to feed these kids.
They can't even feed themselves.
They just give them, so they were.
So they have to. I mean, they have to give it up for adoption, and that just breaks my heart, because it's like, they want to have that baby, but they just can't afford it. And then it just breaks my heart that they're out there in a country where they can't even eat and get nourishment. So I think that's what really drew me to wanting to adopt.
And it still draws you to it. You still talk about it,
Yeah.
But the thing is, just financially, as expensive as IVF was in comparison,
not even close.
In comparison to what the prices were for us that we were given for the adoption and with all this, it wasn't an option for us to be under 30 and adopt from outside the country.
Yeah.
So for anybody
so maybe in the future, I mean, I still really would love to adopt from a different country, but we, one, didn't have the funds to do it, and two,
just not in the place
we did not meet the requirements for it at the time.
But for anybody who is feeling like, why would you spend all this money on, just having your own babies, and when there's so many kids out there who need help? Well, just want to let you guys know, we have looked at those options, and we just found that this was the best route for us at this time. Though it is something that we're going to readdress in the future, and we just, we want to make sure that we let people know that is a really good option for others. Is, there's a lot of kids out there that need to be loved and need a family. And so, it's definitely something you guys should look into as well. But we definitely want to let you guys know there are other options to IVF, but this one just happened to fit what we were going through in our time in life.
In our season.
Yeah. So, but anyways, thank you guys so much for tuning into this episode. Please make sure to like, share, and subscribe to this content. And we will make sure to continue posting this content for you, and any updates with Nicole's current pregnancy and how life is going with these little twins. So thank you guys, and we will see you next time.
Bye.